everyone, and welcome to your cosmic update focusing on the Mercury retrograde, which is happening in the midst of eclipse season. And that's just giving it extra power and really feeding into this whole theme of an energetic reset and a new beginning. And where Mercury governs over our thoughts, our mind, our way of interacting with the world, our way of communicating, it's really an energetic reset to your core belief systems and the way you see the world. And when you really change that perception, the way you are viewing the world, and you alter those core subconscious beliefs, everything in your life begins to shift, it begins to change. So as you join, say hi. It is great to have you here. Some of you may know, I think you jumped on yesterday. I tried to do this video live from the beach on the day that Mercury was retrograding, and I tried twice and there was just no reception. I couldn't do it. The video kept cutting out. So Mercury is famous for that, right? That's like the reputation we have around Mercury going retrograde, is like those tech mishaps or miscommunications through email and travel and all those things. And it is because Mercury governs over those aspects in our life. So when it retrogrades, it's like we're getting used to a new energy, a new way of approaching things. But I really like to work with the retrograde, especially Mercury retrograde, in a much deeper way, because it's so much more meaningful and so much more powerful than some of the bad reputations that it gets. It can actually be used in a way to really empower ourselves and to really process and integrate a lot of information. Hi, Misty, Tammy, Vanna, Kim. I love saying hi to everybody as they jump in. Kenzel, once again, thank you for sharing. Beautiful. So appreciate it. Hi, Lorena. Welcome. So Mercury is retrograding in July, right? It went retrograde yesterday. It is retrograde until the 31st, the end of July. And this is just such a busy month. There is so much happening. We had Chiron go retrograde today as well, and just some really powerful aspects. And then, of course, the highlights are the eclipses. We're just coming out of a solar eclipse, which was a new moon. And I'd love to hear how everyone experienced that. Like, how are you feeling the energy after this solar eclipse? I know, like, for myself and some of the readings I've been doing, some people have even described it as like a rebirth experience. And looking at their chart, I'm like, well, yeah, this pretty much was like a rebirth for you, an energetic rebirth. And it's been that powerful for so many people. And I talked a little bit about this in my solar eclipse video, just how it was bringing us back to our core values, what matters most to us. And that is a theme that we see throughout Cancer season, right? Like really getting back to, who do I want to spend my time with? Who do I want to have in my circle and in my environment? And what do I really care about? And we become more selective about how we spend our time, who we spend our time with, and what we give our energy toward. And on the 16th, we have the lunar eclipse, which is a full moon. And I'm going to do a whole other video on this because I'm actually going to pre-record it and share my screen. It is equally as powerful as the solar eclipse new moon that we had, and in a very different way. So with the new moon energy and the solar eclipse, we really felt this surge of like a new beginning for many people. It was very positive, beautiful energy surrounding it. It was a lot about the divine feminine, the goddess energy, and really within ourselves learning, where do I need to surrender? Where do I need to trust and allow myself to receive with greater ease? And the lunar eclipse on the 16th, we are going to go into the Mercury retrograde. I just want to give you some background and understanding of like the power of this month and how Mercury is going retrograde, like in the midst of all these changes happening. So with the lunar eclipse, it's going to be a lot of releasing and letting go. And we always see that theme with a full moon, right? A full moon is always like an amplifier, a celebration. It is a releasing of what isn't working. And what is like extra powerful about this upcoming full moon in Capricorn is it's also a lunar eclipse happening on the south node, and it's activating Saturn and Pluto, which is just such a hallmark this year. And those are planets that are very connected to the shadow, very connected to our karma, very connected to even like old generational or ancestral patterns that we know we're called to release and let go of, very tied into the collective as well. So this upcoming full moon is going to be a powerful releasing, clearing, again, more shadow work, and really with Pluto bringing this theme in of personal power or power in general, and even looking at ways in like our society where power has been misused, and in its highest expression, how we can get back to feeling into our personal power and feeling into a place where we are empowered. So I'll go way more into that when we look at the lunar eclipse, but these are all the energies that are coming up in July. And then in the midst of that, we now have Mercury, the messenger, retrograding in very significant signs. So it started its retrograde in the early degrees of Leo, where it is right now, where it is today, conjunct Mars, and it's going to retrograde all the way back into the sign of Cancer, where we had the solar eclipse. So a lot of those themes are going to be activated again as well. Hello, Wanda, Vienna. Definitely say hi if you are just jumping in now. Tony, great to see you. Ariel, and if you are feeling called to share this out and you know this could be a benefit to people in your life, feel free to do that. It is always appreciated just to get this message out to more people and even just help them see how like the energies in the cosmos, right, are really these energetic themes that are happening within us as well. And since we are all connected, it's what's happening outside of us, right? And the cosmos is happening within. We are all one. That is why we feel these changes as well. So Mercury retrograding in the sign of Leo really is that call to explore and examine our core belief system. Like, what are the beliefs that are governing your life? And it's often, I love to like bring in a little bit of psychology as well, since my background is in that. Those first 7 years of our life is actually when our belief system is formed. And it's during that time that our brain is just absorbing everything around us, and even more than like our caregivers, our parents, our teachers, those people that had a really important role in the early years of our life, more than what they say, it's the energy that we pick up from them, their way of kind of approaching the world, how safe they feel in the world, what they believe to be true about the world. And then we start to take that on as our own. And it can really become ingrained and become our truth. And we can hold a belief maybe today at like the age of 37 that we actually developed at the age of 7. And it never perhaps even served us. Of course, there's beliefs we develop that serve us greatly. And then there's other beliefs that are just outdated or were passed along by other people that don't really have a place in our journey or don't serve us. So when we have Mercury retrograde, I think especially where it's in the sign of Leo, it really is about stepping back into your power and looking at those beliefs that govern your life, like that govern how you see the world, what you believe you can have, what you believe you can experience, who you believe you are, and asking if they are of service to you. Are they working for you? And if not, this is a time where you become really aware of that. And this is where we start to work with Mercury retrograde in its highest form, where it's not just worried about, those tech mishaps or misunderstandings and miscommunications. We start to actually see how I'm processing, integrating information, and what are those core beliefs that I'm hanging on to, and what do I need just to release and clear in my life. I'm going to read some of these comments because I always love hearing from you. Vanna's feeling so much peace and love, avoiding any low energies. Love that. And expired ways of dealing with others' drama. Yes. Feeling in tune. Awesome creative energy. It's a very creative energy. And I think many of us now are feeling that call to like rise up, rise above the drama, elevate beyond even our old identity. And that's where Chiron, the wounded healer going retrograde, is really playing into that as well, where we're really able to dig deep and look at, how do I see myself? Where do I have those insecurities? And how can I heal that so I can step into my power? Because we have Mercury and Mars, Mercury retrograding. And as I do this video today on the 8th, we actually have a conjunction between Mercury and Mars in the sign of Leo. And it's exactly what you said, Vienna. It's like that creative boost of energy that it's giving us, but it's also a boost in confidence to really help you believe in yourself and like step up and just own your worth, own your value. Sometimes Leo gets that reputation, right, for being egotistical or just all about the self. And it's so much more than that. It's like each of us deserves to be treated like royalty. Each of us deserves to be treated special. We all get to have our opinions be respected and heard. And it's owning that not from an egotistical place, but from a very spiritual energy of knowing our worth, knowing our value, and knowing our connection to the divine. Like the power of the universe flows through each of us and wants to be expressed through each of us in unique ways. So Mercury retrograding in Leo is really teaching us that as well. And I think a lot of people are feeling that, right? Feeling into their confidence and that, yes, I do have something to share. I do have something. And whether that's, jumping on through videos or Facebook Lives, it can be both, right? It can be doing that. Maybe it's getting your message out there through blogging or other social media platforms. But most importantly, it's in our own personal life and in our relationships and asking, am I really like owning my power, standing in my truth and like speaking what needs to be said, sharing my opinion and knowing how valuable that is. Kensel, I've really been feeling this powerful energy since I am a Leo moon. Oh, I love that. And Cancer moon and Vedic. Very, very cool. Yeah, so you'd be feeling this big time. See, my sun and Mercury are in Leo. That's awesome. Yeah, so you're in your Mercury return as well, right? Anytime a planet returns to the sign that it's in our natal chart, that's called our return, and it can give that extra boost of confidence. So for you, Misty, with Mercury going back into Leo, it can be that more of that confidence in speaking your truth and really owning your worth and power. So eventually, and feel free to ask questions as well if there's any questions coming up around this. Okay, so eventually Mercury is going to retrograde from Leo all the way back into the sign of Cancer. And again, this is where we're in Cancer season now and where we had the new moon solar eclipse as well. And Mercury retrograding back into the sign of Cancer is bringing us back to the power of our intuition. And I think really feeding into this theme as well of like rising above, transcending beyond the old patterns and changing those subconscious core beliefs, right? Because it's the subconscious that's really dictating how we show up in the world, the actions we take. And sometimes it can feel like, well, if it's a subconscious belief, how am I going to know about it? How am I going to shift it? And how you do that, and when Mercury shifts into the sign of Cancer, we really feel this, is we tune more into the wisdom of our body. Our subconscious is expressed through our body, how it is feeling, the messages that it sends us, right? We hold a lot of emotion in our body. We hold a lot of energy in our body. So getting back to really listening to that, right? What it's asking of you, what it's needing of you, how you're responding to the energies of different people, different locations. And I shared this in a fairly recent video. I know I haven't been live in a little while, probably a little bit over a week, but I remember sharing this because this really stuck with me when I saw this post on social media it was talking about how our bodies can actually reject certain energies of certain people or certain environments or situations, and often will override that, right? Or we'll be too much in our mind about it and try to analyze it instead of listening to like that initial response that our body's giving us about what is right for us, what is aligned for us, and what isn't. So Mercury retrograding all the way back into the sign of Cancer is once again, it's like the universe is inviting us to feel into the power our intuition holds in our life, the power it holds to guide us on our journey. And we can cultivate our intuition, we can do things to like work with it and strengthen it, but ultimately we all have intuition, and it's more about learning to trust it. So it's, yeah, just so beautiful, so powerful, the lessons that can come through in this retrograde. And allow yourself to elevate beyond, right? Elevate beyond the old ways of responding. And that is truly when you become a conscious creator in your life, when you're not just triggered by what is happening around you anymore. You're aware of what's happening, you're aware of your response, but then you're stepping back into your power and you're consciously choosing, how am I going to respond? What, with Mercury, right, the mind, what is the story I'm going to create around this? Because the story you tell determines everything in your life. It determines how you feel, how you see the world, how you show up, what you attract. And thankfully, you can always tell a different story by cultivating new beliefs and a new perception on the world. Hi, Tony. How are you? Thanks for joining. Hey, Leah. Welcome, beautiful. And Haley. Great to have you. Lamorla jumped in. Love this. Feel free to ask any of your questions around Mercury retrograde as well. I'm happy to answer them. Each Mercury retrograde it also has a different theme, right? Like it always governs over our communication and our interactions. But when we look at it in terms of what's happening in the cosmos at that time, we get a deeper insight, basically, deeper insight into how it's really, the Mercury retrograde is going to play out this time. And I think for many of us and for the collective, because it is happening in eclipse season, which is that energetic reset, this Mercury retrograde is like a reset to our thoughts, a reset to our beliefs, a reset to the stories we tell ourselves, and just really learning to stand in our power and to own that and to own our worth. Hi, Kimberly. Welcome, beautiful. So if you would like to book a private reading, I do have a few spots left for July. So if you're here on Facebook now watching and you're interested, you can just send me a message and I'll give you all the details on that. And we can take a deep dive into how this Mercury retrograde is playing out in your chart, like what houses it's traveling through, what planets it's activating in your birth chart. And of course, also look at eclipse season, because July is just a huge month for all of us, like major transitions, major changes, new paths opening up. And it's really cool that it's happening halfway through the calendar year as well. So it's really like kind of paving the way for the next 6 months and beyond, but definitely the next 6 months and what's going to play out for you for the remainder of the year. So feel free to message if you're interested in more details on the reading, or if you're watching on YouTube, because I've been uploading these to YouTube as well, you can just check out the link below. Let me see. Any other questions or comments here? Vanna, can you share some mantras to help elevate above intense energies to push through? Ooh, I love that. I love working with mantras. I actually share these every week in my membership site, The Goddess Sisterhood. So when I read that, the first thing that came through, and it's one of my favorites, and when I do mantras, I always like to place my hands over my heart and just really feel into the energy of it. So one of my favorites is, I embrace my inner goddess. I am strong, powerful, and wise. I also love to affirm that I am bigger than any challenge that comes my way, that I am infinitely supported and loved by the universe, that the power of the universe flows through me. And yeah, I just kind of go on like a rampage of affirmations. But yeah, those are some of my favorites that are coming through now. Or even just, I choose to own my value and worth. I choose to speak my truth. I choose to lead with love, because Mercury in Leo is also that energy. And we have Mars in Leo right now too, that energy of the leader. And in the highest form, it's leading from the heart chakra, leading with love. And we all are leaders in our own life, and we lead by example, just by how we show up, how we live. And when we learn to lead from that expansive space of love, it just opens up so many doors of possibilities, just infinite possibilities. Nicola, I've had an ex come back into my life, which has helped my body confidence. Ooh, I love that. Yeah. And we can find that with eclipses too. It's like new people coming in and relationships leaving relationships. As I do this video today, we actually have the moon in Libra for July 8th and July 9th, and that really is about our relationships as well. But relationships are just such a big part of our life experience in general. So a lot of the lessons and changes we see in eclipse season involve our relationships with other people. And even seeing those relationships in our life as mirrors, because they do tend to reflect back to us. Like when we see traits in others we really love and we really admire, those are traits that exist in you, and that's why you're drawn to them in someone else. Now maybe somebody else is expressing them a little more, but that doesn't mean that you can't do the same and you can't cultivate them. And just as when something really triggers us about other people, it can be a trait within you that's been suppressed. So when somebody else represents it, it feels like, oh, it's too much. Or it's a shadow part of yourself and maybe triggering an area where there's opportunity for deeper levels of healing. And with Chiron retrograding, right, in July too, amazing, all these changes happening in July, it is that opportunity to do deeper levels of healing on ourselves. And as we do that, we see that reflected in our outer world as well, and we see how that changes our relationships. Oh, thank you for the hearts, and you are welcome, Vienna. I'm happy to share those. I love affirmations. I love the power of them. All right, so thank you everyone for joining today. Feel free to message if you're interested in more details about a reading and getting one of the spots left for July. Yeah, otherwise I'll see you soon. I'll be doing a lunar eclipse video soon, talking all about the full moon, so stay tuned for that. Sending lots of love and light your way, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.